returns from your property and your personal investment strategy. Okay, now I just want to say this: there's actually a really special treat waiting for you when we get to the end of this series for those who stick to it, because you know what, you guys are coming, you said you're not here to play, you're here to do business. So there's going to be a special treat, special just for you because you're here. Okay, and then let's just actually get right into it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen as I did yesterday. Thankfully I have learned how to do the whole picture in picture. You're going to be happy about that. But let me quickly do that, and then we can get going on our presentation. It's really quite a fun one planned for you today, by the way. I know you're going to enjoy it. Okay. Okay, sharing my screen, and then I believe that I can add my video. Yes, there we are. Yay! I'm right in the middle, so I'm going to move that to the side. Just so that it's of course not in the way of our discussion. Okay, for some reason I think I moved it right off the screen. So let me try and not move it off the screen this time, but just put it to the side. I think you guys can still see it, right? Okay, great. Well, let's move on. I wonder if actually I can make it a little smaller. Yes, perfect. There we are. Technology, right? Okay, so today we're looking at starting six-figure property investment, and we're just going to be looking at understanding the best method for getting your high yield real estate revenue from property that you know you whether you own it or you don't own it. And I'm going to be telling you a secret of how you can get started with property even that you do not own, and how your personal you can actually get started on a personal property investing strategy. Okay, so uh, just a second. Great. So in this series, yesterday we covered, if you didn't watch it yet, by the way, we covered just how to choose the best location that will bring you returns without investing in a white elephant that will just lose money out of it. I actually introduced a brand new tool. Well, not brand new, but something that I'm recently sharing with you. It's what we have previously worked through with all our clients. So a tool that is really useful, that will help you have a bird's eye view, okay, of the locations, and then you can really drill down. And if you didn't watch it yet, pause this video, go back to that video. I've linked it on the description, which is either here or here, so or up. So make sure to go and click on that and watch it, and then come back to this video. Okay, awesome. So that's what we covered. And today we're going to be covering awesome stuff. We're going to be talking about understanding the best method for getting high yield rental revenue, okay, from property, and how to increase the options that are available to you, um, just really as you get started on this journey, right? And then the four most common mistakes that investors make when they try to invest in property. And finally, we're going to look at the pro tips on how you can select the right property, and how you can just analyze any property that you come across. Okay, and to round it off, just to let you know, I will be telling you how to super speed your outcomes through help from trusted networks of experts, and how you can drastically really just cut down the costs, the headache and headache it is, you guys, spent in the steps and the process just through our starting six-figure investment path. Okay, and it's normally what we only stuff we do with our clients, our paid clients. However, you get to partake in these premium trainings for a fraction of the cost for a limited time, and I'll be telling you all about that. Okay, great. So here we go: how to analyze property. Now, you know what, I remember back in 2014, my husband and I were trying to figure out how to buy property, and wanted a place to call home. I mean, who doesn't? And we wanted a place that would also secure our future, and that when we retired, but we just didn't know how. Everyone was trying to push something out down our throat, just really the usual. Start with the plot of land, just this and this, stand down there in the rural areas or whatever. Particularly, by the way, if it was someone who was selling said plot of land, okay, and it was just, of course, they would say it was the best thing since sliced bread, and that was the thing. And if it was a property developer, you know what, they would also be like, this property is the best investment you could ever make. Never mind that a lot of those properties never did see the light of day. A lot of those developments, and it's a really sad thing. But the truth is, there really is no one size fits all. Everybody's going to have a different preference for what type of properties they like, what type of place they want to be. For us, a huge thing was to be in a grassy area, somewhere with a garden, somewhere we could see the value going up, that type of thing. But maybe for you, you like to be in a city, maybe you'd like to be close to amenities. It's really up to you. Okay. Over time, we just learned that the type of investment strategy that you need to create a multi-pronged, we learned that the best investment strategy is just to create this multi-pronged approach. Okay. The cash flow would go towards building up our property ownership. Okay. And it's ensured that, we always actually had a steady inflow of cash to cater to our financing, repayments, and just keep on acquiring properties. Okay. So every property investor needs cash flow. There is no question. You need cash flow to sustain your business, your investments, to pay off your financing if that's what you go with, or to save for deposits on upcoming properties. And you just need to continuously grow your portfolio. Yeah. And if you want to get traction. So what I want to do is, really, my job right now is to help you understand what's the best 1 to 2 ways to kick off your investment journey right now and help you master them. And then give you the resources you need to expand and incorporate more investments and financing sources, okay, so that you can get more and more properties and cash flowing investments, right? Just to start this snowball effect that grows your business steadily. And that's a sustainable investment strategy. And that's what we're going to be covering today. How do you get started with just really great cash flowing property? The best method for high yield rental revenue from property, and how to increase the options that are available to you. Okay, so now, getting high yield rental revenue, right? This is, these are the three things, like I mentioned already, that we're going to cover. Okay, now, the hands down, the best method for getting high yield rental revenue from property around the globe and having limitless supply of properties is rent to rent, also called rental arbitrage. Okay, and this basically, it's where you find a property that is available for rental, and then you put it up for rental yourself, rent it from the landlord, putting it up for rental yourself, of course, in a fully transparent manner, as a short-term rental, right? So let me just give you some examples. For a bedroom, let's say in Kilimani, Nairobi, if it's renting for about $800, you know what? A month, right? You can then rent it out for $100 a day. And these are the amounts we're seeing our clients getting: $100, $150 for a 3-bedroom, either individual rooms or as a whole. Okay. So the rate of return in this case, rate of return, return on investment, as they call it, ROI, is the net revenue over the rental cost. So let's calculate that. At 100% occupancy, which means it's occupied 30 days out of 30, your net revenue is going to be, of course, your monthly rental revenue minus the rent you pay. So in this case, it would be, say, 100 a day over 30 days is 3,000. It's actually 3,000, then minus 800, right? So that means you make a net return of 2,200, which is 275%. Okay. And there you go. However, of course, even if the same apartment, and like we talked about, average occupancy is normally 50%. So even if it's only rented out 15 days out of 30, which is a conservative, estimate, right? Then it'll still bring you, check it out, 100 times 15 minus 800 minus 800, right? Which is 700 net revenue. So your return on investment is actually 87.5%. Okay, you can calculate this, come back and watch this again. I'm just going to run through these really fast because I want you to see the power of this process. It's a whopping 87% return on your investment, guys, even with a conservative estimate of only 15 days rented out. In reality, you can actually expect to rent anything from 17 to 22 days, right? Especially when you get right the location. We did see, as we did the analysis yesterday, we looked at the locations. You'll notice some locations had a higher occupancy than others. You want to just track those over the course of 12 months and see how locations do. you'd still, even that's 56 to 73% return on investment and more when you implement the system that we will show you. Okay. And it's actually more. I need to calculate. I think I have to update those numbers. It actually a net return of at 56% occupancy is 112% return on investment. At 22% occupancy, right? It's 100 and it's not actually 22%. It's at 22 days out of 30 days. It's 175% return on investment. Okay? And the beauty of this is that you can actually pass all your utilities to your clients through cleaning fee and other sorted fees. So this is just an overview of the rents in some major cities in Africa. We have here Johannesburg, we have Nairobi, we have Accra and Harare. These rents are looking at the yield out inside the city center and outside the city center. And by the way, it's also actually taking a look at long-term rentals, because this can also give you a good indicator of how expensive are rents in a area. If if the rental yield is normally really low, it means to purchase a property, it's going to be very expensive in that area, such as in Accra. You see that the rental yield is 3%. Nairobi, purchasing a property in Nairobi compared to purchasing one in Johannesburg, Nairobi is way more expensive. Okay. However, this rental yield percent also gives you some information about how affordable are rents in a certain area. Okay, when the rental yield is low, you're going to see that the the property rents are actually affordable, right? And by the way, with Johannesburg, obviously, the converse is true, that the property rents are affordable, and so are property purchases. So you see how the rental yield, it wouldn't be that indicator in this case. However, for Nairobi and Accra, you can actually see, especially gross rental yields outside of the city center. I would say Nairobi is the best one here to show this whole thing. Accra, you'll find maybe property rents might be a little bit higher as well. Okay, but this is just to give you a great overview of, hey, see what an apartment, one bedroom in the city center in Johannesburg is about 500, yeah, $512, and then 3 bedroom in the city center is about 1,000. Okay. Conversely, you see actually 1 bedroom in the city center is $300, 360, and then 3 bedrooms in the city center is 850. And then for Accra, you see it really jumps. Accra rents are pretty high, and Uganda is somewhere in between. No, Harare, sorry, is somewhere in between Nairobi, and it's similar to Nairobi in a way, yeah. But then this is also the purchase price, and also it also gives you some additional metrics, which when you're really deciding what to do with your property, these are going to be what type of property to get into. These are going to be really helpful. Now, the way to this is useful again when you choose to leverage other people's property, because you know what? This will actually get you the outcome of a high yield investment. It lets you do what you want to do quickly, which is generate a cash flow from property. It helps you start paying down your investments versus, when you start going to get into a long drawn out and ineffective way that we've had from our folks, which is get into this huge mortgage before you even know whether that area is going to keep accruing in value, is going to be able to help you pay down your mortgage. The good thing about rent to rent, by the way, and something I have loved about it, is that when you're renting, um, pulling out of a property is as simple as giving it 1 month notice. Okay, so even when the market might take a downturn, and now as it's picking up again, we saw clients choose to pause on their rentals, which means they're no longer paying any rent. Okay, and it's as simple as putting things that you have in storage, and when that time comes that you're now ready to continue, hey, guess what? Put them out of storage, put them back into your properties, and you don't miss a beat. Of course, the you know the since you're not giving out the revenue, then you're able to um, save on that, and of course associated costs as well are not there. We did also have clients who just chose to pivot their properties and do different other things with them, which we I think I've discussed some of these in previous streams, but Generally, what we see is that it's a lot more of a flexible model. If you own the property, you find that, unless you're able to get a moratorium on your mortgage, you might then get into the red. Thankfully, with COVID, who's ever seen such an occurrence? We've seen banks being willing to give clients moratoriums, and those have been very useful for them. Okay, so no matter which way you look at it, it's about learning to be agile and taking things in stride in any type of business. Okay, and the rewards are amazing. We're just gonna keep looking at all the way in which, look, online 20 short years ago you couldn't shop online, and now there's Amazon, eBay. You can get clientele from all over the world. Alibaba, Jumia. Did you actually know that 50% of all listings on booking.com, um, globally, are vacation rentals, holiday homes, homestays, and apartments? It's so crazy. 50%. That's actually a fact I did not know until I knew it a few years ago. And that number is actually much less in a lot of African countries, but it's climbing. And that's something we need to catch the wave. Now, when you leverage other people's property, you just basically have a market that will never dry up as long as the economy is growing, as long as you just have an endless supply of high paying tenants. And really, what we're also seeing is that a lot of local clients are also moving around for staycations and really pushing towards making your property attractive to local or domestic travelers is a very important thing for you to do, right? And you choose strategically, first leverage the properties, allow other people's properties, choose strategically, then set up for high yield, and then get mind-blowing cash flow. So this is a case study of Century Gardens in Kenya, and this is it rented basically for $750 in 2016, and it's booked out regularly for up to $159 a day, right? And it seems that I have so this, check it out. Rental yield is 75,000 Kenya shillings, which is $750. Okay. And when you look at the property as it's listed on Airbnb, it's getting 159, it's booking for $159 a night, right? And when you calculate for the return investment for 50% occupancy, remember the very average type of occupancy, you actually see that the net revenue, the net return is almost 200%. Okay, take your rent, your 159 a day for 15 days, and then which is 2,385 minus the rent, which is 800, just rounding to 800, you get 1,585. So your return on the investment you're putting in, which is your monthly rent, is 198%. Okay. When you start calculating the return on investment for 73% occupancy, which is highly likely in such a good area, then you see that your return on investment is now 312%, you guys, right? That's amazing. I mean, it doesn't get better than this. And I wanted to show you this table also, that if you wanted to purchase it on a mortgage, it still makes sense, because guess what? If the loan amount was about $10,300 and the house value is $147,000, and that's the annual interest rate, and that's the loan period, and the number of payments, and the scheduled payment is the loan amount should be 103,000. So pardon me for that error there. It should be $103,000. That's the scheduled payment of 1,280. You know what? It still makes sense, because what happens is that when you're making this amount every single month of 2,000, like net, okay, 2,498, guess what? Paying your mortgage of 1,280 is a breeze. It's a total walk in the park. And if you've purchased it, there's no rent to be paid. So basically, you're making, according to this, you'd be making the full 3,298. Okay, it's amazing. It's this whole methodology is what is making millionaires out of the whole property field. Okay. And I always recommend that what you want to do is learn, get into it, learn. And this is, we're going to shortly go into, and he's a super host, by the way, as well. Um, I think even if you're purchasing it, here's the rental yield. Okay. If you were to purchase it at 100, and let's say Omolo went in and purchased the host went in and purchased it 145,000, the rental yield would still be close to 20%, which is amazing. Okay. Even at that sort of rate now. Quick case study of a property that we have in Upani. We bought it for 330,000 in 2015, and it's made back over $200,000 in 4 years. Okay, and this is just an example of a booking for one night for just under $400 a night, right? And some of the reviews, no, that's actually a booking, exactly. And then I think I posted, yeah, this is some of the reviews that we've had. Piece of heaven, amazing, walk to, like, short walk to the beach. And there's a few examples also. I mean, in Accra, Ghana, here's a property going for $49 a night, right? Here's another property going for about $60, a two-bedroom. Some of the options that you can find, live in the heart of Accra, $100 a night, right? And let's take a look at Johannesburg as well. Great options there that you can see from properties right in the city center to those bed sits, or to those you know townhouses type. But let's quickly jump into the four common mistakes that investors make when they try to invest in property. This is really important because you don't want to be caught making a mistake when it slows you down. And one of the things we see is the first common mistake is not doing a proper analysis, because the numbers must make sense on paper before they make sense in real life. So the process we've gone through now, something you want to do for every single property that you see, in order to see whether it makes sense or not. Okay. And then, maybe biting off more than you can chew, because you want to make sure that an idea works before you go big. you know don't start off with 10 properties or even three until you're certain there's a proof of concept, whether through yourself or through someone else whose success you have heard of. Okay. So always better, you can always start a property. Most clients we have don't just stop at one, they go on to two, three, four, 5, 10, and the number keeps growing. So you want to, you know, give yourself time, right? And then the third mistake we see is just going on emotion rather than logic. It's the same as in point one, but it's also, I want to emphasize as well that sometimes we can maybe say, because we're coming from a certain country, we want to invest back in the same country, and that might just not make financial sense. Maybe your best bet is to invest outside of the country to get the return that you need. Okay. So just, I see it as, be open. Don't always feel that your investment needs to be in the country that you're in, especially, no, the country that you come from, especially if you're not located in that country, right? However, of course, there's sometimes the ease of being able to invest back in your home country, and we don't, also overlook that, right? But just, I would say, best is just really make sense of the numbers. We have clients who come to us, and when a certain country does not work, then we're just going to be honest about it and say this country does not work with this model, and advise otherwise. Okay. And work with them. So another mistake is just not playing the long game. You want to be aware, especially in situations like, who knows, who knew COVID would happen, but you want to be aware that, what, there will be things that come in any business that might destabilize it, and you want to know that you're keeping an upward trend. Okay, don't throw in the towels so fast and lose out on all the progress you've made. Okay, we've seen when you're just focused on what you want to do, and really know that you're in it for the long haul. Our clients tend to get much better results that way. And I mean, everybody always comes back from a tough time, but more so than that, those who never ever looked at it as a tough time, they do much better. you know it's called making lemonade out of lemons. Okay. And then, some finally, just to end, is just to give you the pro tips on how you can select the right property, and just how to analyze any property that you come across. Really, the we I see, actually wanted to also share a story about our client who did start with just one property, a one bedroom property, which was beachfront and or seafront in that case, and through that was able to see great success and was able to scale up to a second and a third in within the space of a few months. And so this is something that you're able to really leverage, is the opportunity to be able to expand and in a guided way. Okay, so selecting the right property, number one, I would say just think of where you'd stay whenever, if you're living abroad, think of where you'd stay when you go home. If you're not living abroad, think of the places that colleagues book when they maybe come to visit. And if you're working, for missions and that type of thing, just think of where would be popular. Because you know what? You're often your ideal guest or customer, and your business is actually going to thrive and operate best when you know and can relate with the needs of your clients. This is a key element of business you cannot overlook. And then that is not always best. This is something else I want to just emphasize as well. You might see that okay, a one bedroom might feel expensive in the start, but it might end up being the thing that gives you more flexibility, especially in some certain markets. A one bedroom does much better than a three bedroom, for example. However, at the same time, you want to make sure that what you're doing, especially when you're learning a market, is just starting small, and it'll help you test the market and be agile and flexible. Okay, as with everything, of course, you know what? Learn from those that have gone ahead of you. That's always a very key thing. And then number three is just sometimes also starting small is also too small. You want to make sure that it makes sense vis-a-vis the effort that you're putting in. Because you know what? Whether you're managing two apartments, two one-bedroom apartments versus one, most times you'll see that they're very similar. The amount of effort, right? So that's important to consider. Then you want to think location. Some the main things, think of location, think of the type of traveler, whether they're a leisure or business traveler, which actually affects seasonality. It affects your price. Seasonality, like we talked about yesterday, the price fluctuations. It affects price range, it affects ease of management. These factors are all combined to give you the ideal property. Okay, these are important to think of, right? And what we do is put down a matrix where you can actually be able to compare all these different things for different properties, and then you emerge with the one that really does best suit the budget you have and the goal that you have. Okay, so that's it. Because that's it for today. And next session tomorrow, we're gonna talk about how to finance your property investments. Okay, just really how to get the support for your dream property easily, even if everyone is telling you it's impossible, and how to do this even while you're living abroad, right? And by the way, we'll also be opening up our starting six-figure investment pack for a limited time special offer. And just really don't miss it, because we won't have it open for too long. Like I said, it's the premium content we provide to our clients, giving it to you for a limited time so that you can be able to just really address some of the questions and thoughts and fears that have kept you from just getting started. Okay, so look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Make sure to share this link with a friend if you know someone who is really looking to invest in property. And yeah, don't forget, we have this special just gift just waiting for you at the end of tomorrow's session as well. Okay, have a great. Oh, actually, let me change to video so that I can say, have a great rest of your morning, evening, or night. Okay, bye bye.